lot of the songs he writes are about being observed, either from the point of view of he's the object or that he becomes the person looking at someone like him or the object or person. For someone who grew up in the spotlight, being watched is a very big part of how you see the world.
This is a guy who was never not in the newspapers every single day, being ridiculed, wacko jacko. I mean, inside, he's a kid. How that stuff doesn't penetrate you and hurt your spirit.
Michael Jackson's got a shrine to Elizabeth Taylor. Michael Jackson's got an amusement park. Michael Jackson's had a lot of facial surgery. So I said, you know, Michael, when you're in the schoolyard and you're the smallest and you get teased a lot, it's really only fun to tease you if it bothers you. If it doesn't bother you, you move on. So why don't we just take all this crap that's being said about you, and why don't we say it? Why don't we put it to visuals?
Leave Me Alone. It was a lot of fun to play that. It had that intro.
So incredible. And the video to this was incredible.
But there was also a string part that kind of played the same thing, but it was just accenting that. And he was just kind of saying, dig in, you know. And I remember him standing right next to me going.
Oh, and these, I read every single one of these.
See, a lot of people misunderstand me. That's because they don't know me. I guess that's true. People believe a lot of crazy stories they read.
You ever want to lash out in any type of way and say, hey, that's not true?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah.
You can see, you know, how he's starting to feel like he's a spectacle. In the video, he's tied down. It's inspired by Gulliver's Travels, and he's tied underneath a roller coaster. And you see these dogs with corporate suits banging the pegs, like trying to tie him down in this big kind of amusement park setting.
Yeah.
I only got a glimpse of what his life must have been like when I would be in Europe and our limousines would be attacked by mobs with them thinking that Michael was in our limousine. And if that's your initial introduction to the universe when you're a 5-year-old, then that has got to inform what you feel like the world is like.
I'm waiting for Michael, and a guy comes up.
Yeah, I love what she said here. It's very true. It's like most kids, 5-year-olds, they're not going to have a life like that. None of them even remotely like that. Can you imagine being brought up into that kind of life? Like, you are famous. You are a 5-year-old. You're super famous. You're a megastar. It can't be easy. It's got to affect you in some way as you grow up. Some people cope, other people don't.
See Michael.
In a way.
He goes, hi, Jeffrey, how you doing? I said, all right. He said, so, are you ready to start? I go, yeah. But I'm not looking at Michael. I'm looking at these bushy eyebrows, a short afro wig, and these sideburns and this makeup on. Michael had been out going door to door for Jehovah's Witnesses. So that's why he put on a disguise so people wouldn't know Michael Jackson is knocking on their door. And I'm sure some people are slamming the door in his face like, Jehovah's Witness, get out of there.
Wow! So this is what he was talking about in this interview. It was the fact that he, this is the first time I actually seen him in like disguise. Fair play. It's like he does change quite a lot. It's like you wouldn't be able to tell that was Michael Jackson coming up to your door, you know?
And not have any hoopla or, you know, and it doesn't work all the time.
I went to the Shrine Auditorium, and the guy tapped me on the back. And I turned around, and it was the old man. I said, who's this? He said, it's Michael.
It's Michael.
Man, you scared the mess out of me.
I have incredible disguises. I can fool my own mother.
Seriously? Wow, damn. I mean, that's crazy. He looks completely like the hair's there, right? You can sort of tell it's Michael's hair, but flip, that is incredible. Like I reckon, yeah, he could probably fool his own mother with that.
Mother, and I enjoy doing it because I get to see life the way it really is sometimes.
Wow.
One day he said,
that's
you know, my
insane.
brothers are in town, so I'm going to see them tonight. I said, oh, that's cool. All right. So the next day I came onto the set, and Michael goes, yeah, I waited for my brothers all night, man. I fixed my hair and everything, but they didn't show up.
Sad that he has to do that, though, but very clever.
This bothers me, but he said, I would give anything just to be able to go to a party and stand in a corner somewhere or stand behind a curtain and put my head out and be able to see what it's like for real people to just be real people.
Sad. It's so sad. You know?
When you see that film,
I got the
with all of those
goosebumps
images,
again.
every image that you see of Michael started out as 35mm movie film, which then turned into a stack of photo prints this tall, which people sat around for 2 weeks cutting out. There was one guy whose job was just cutting out Michael's hair. The Charlie Chaplin ball and chain idea was Michael's. We knew that we had a sequence where we wanted to have a dance sequence with the Elephant Man's bones, and so Michael showed up the day of the shoot.
I've seen some of this. Some of this, like people have it as intros to their videos, but I've never actually seen it in its full thing, and it's never really been explained. So that was the Elephant Man's bones?
Leave Me Alone was extremely ahead of its time.
Leave Me Alone is my favorite video and song off that album.
Yeah.
Like, just even the amusement park setup and the way they chop the graphics up, there's nothing that compares to that even to this day.
It's incredible.
As far as visuals go.
Wow.
Michael's quest for creative independence, which started when he and his brothers left Motown, continued through Off the Wall and Thriller, reached a high point with the Bad album and the Bad tour.
He didn't tour with Thriller, and then with Bad, he finally had an opportunity to create the kind of show that he wanted to create, the kind of show that would represent him as a solo artist.
It was Michael's first solo tour. And in fact, it was the only tour in the US that Michael ever conducted.
What a night, what a crowd, what a gig, what a venue. Who'd have thought? Wembley Stadium, the home of Live Aid, the home of Nelson Mandela, and now the home of the king of it all.
I love that he said that, the king of it all. Now, a lot of people say that it was Liz Taylor who gave him the king of pop, rock, and something else, right? But this man technically said it before she did. Now, it's. I'm not gonna like argue with you guys. Okay, sure, it was Liz Taylor, right? I'm not gonna argue, right? But technically, this was the first time that King and Michael was put together in the same sentence, like publicly. So, very interesting to me. Like completely lost to time. People just don't even know that guy. You know, probably don't even know him, but.
It's a grueling tour.
And that's probably why Liz is
goes until January 1989.
Because she was famous, you know.
He did 15 different countries, 123 different shows, and it actually proved to be one of the most successful concert tours in history.
The Bad World Tour set 3 Guinness Book of World Records. One was the highest grossing tour of all time, the most attended tour in history, and then the shows that he did at Wembley in London was the most consecutive shows an artist had ever sold out in history.
The tour generated a lot of income, and Michael Jackson donated a lot of that income to charities of his choice.
So nice. Very, very large contribution to the Princess Trust Fund, and it'll go to the Ormond Street.
Oh, it is Princess Di, right? So, 450,000 to the trust. What was it?
Very, very large contribution to the Princess Trust Fund.
Trust.
And it'll go to the Ormond Street Hospital.
Camp Good Times, Ronald McDonald House.
The United Negro College Fund and the Burn Center, the Michael Jackson Burn Center.
I love you.
Yeah. A lot of donations and a lot of money being thrown around. Oh, it's Jermaine.
This is hard. My brother, the legendary king of pop, Michael Jackson, passed away on Thursday, June 25th, 2009 at 2:26 p.m.
This is so sad. Do you know, I haven't got to this point in, because I've been going in chronological order. I of course I knew he died, but I never really went into specifics, so I don't really know how he died. I don't think I'm really ready to watch this. I don't know what to do. How long does this section go on for? Because it's going to make me upset, man.
I performed about a year or so before then in Australia. And I remember having this dream that I was listening to the radio, and on the radio came that Michael Jackson had died. Then I woke up, sweating and nervous and just really going crazy.
Where were you when you heard Michael died?
I was in Montreal. I was directing a project for Cirque du Soleil.
I was sitting here in this chair in this room.
I was in Savannah, Georgia.
I was at my own studio.
When he died, I was supposed to go meet him. I was supposed to see him at the Staples Center. I think I was in a car.
I was actually driving in the car.
I know I was home that day.
So I turned on the radio. Then I hear. I was on a radio promo tour, and I was just in the car, going to my next radio station.
I was on a set.
I was shooting Boardwalk Empire.
At my job, late night with Jimmy Fallon.
I was in London going to get some water from the store, some bottled water.
I was at my house in LA.
Los Angeles. No. I was in Panama.
I was actually working.
I had a BlackBerry I picked up in Moscow, and the person said, "He's gone."
Wow. I was in Sony when I heard Michael Jackson pass.
I was in my office having an audition with some artists.
My doorman said to me, "Mrs. Robinson, Michael Jackson died."
Actually, my security guard at that time came in and told me that. And he's just wrong all the time.
I just didn't buy into it for 1 second.
And I couldn't really believe it, and there was nothing on the news at the moment up there telling me that this was true.
I said, what? I said, come on, don't listen to that.
And I didn't believe it.
It just didn't seem real.
I thought it was a lie. I couldn't believe it.
People must have called me. I must have gotten 50 calls.
Don't call me and tell me that, because it's not true.
I think I started crying on the spot.
I couldn't even breathe, man. I couldn't even breathe. I just collapsed right there on the ground.
We all kind of stayed in a daze. Everything just became a blur.
Yeah, man.
And I immediately called my friend Bruce William, and he was in shock as well.
Everything stopped.
It's so sad. That is just devastating. I haven't even hit that. I haven't even got to this part yet. I was not expecting to hear this today. I've been reacting to a whole bunch of his songs from the beginning, and I've grown very attached to him as a person as well as a singer over the past whatever it's been, months. I don't even know how long I've been doing this, but it's every day. Every day I listen to him now, and to me, he's still alive. He's not dead. He's like, because I haven't accepted that he's dead yet. It's going to sound weird. It's because I'm doing it in order, in chronological order. It sort of messes with your head a little bit, and it sort of puts you into a mindset of like, well, I haven't reached 2009 yet. I'm only in the 80s, you know. And then seeing all these people. Sorry. It's so sad.
It was like...
Sorry.
There's people who knew him.
Sorry, man. I really loved the guy.
Yeah. Along with millions over the world, you know? But it must be harder for these because they knew him personally. They worked with him. They collaborated with him. These people are so far away. like other people, like millions of other people, they've only ever listened to his songs or watched interviews and whatever. But these people, they are personal to him. They knew him, you know, and that's got to be so hard. It's like losing a friend, losing a family member, losing your best friend in some cases, you know. It's so sad. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch.
I miss his hugs, just his friendship, just being around him, just to know he's around.
And I had just seen Berry Gordy several days earlier, and we sat at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, and we were just talking, and I said, "I think Michael's gonna do those shows in London?" And he went, "I don't know."
I was at the funeral and I sang. I've never sung at a funeral before, ever. So this is Michael Jackson's funeral, and they come in and they go, "Mariah, you're on first."
I Never Dreamed You Leaving Summer was a song that myself and Siedah Wright, well, she was my first wife, Siedah, wrote together. When I sang it at Michael's homegoing service, I never ever imagined that I would be outliving Michael Jackson. It's very, very painful.
It's still unbelievable to me that he's actually dead, and we should all be ashamed.
Yeah.
Each of us 2 and 1. And I don't know who to look at. And Michael said, I guess look at the man in the mirror.
Just like when John Lennon died, people turned to Imagine. When Michael Jackson died, people turned to Man in the Mirror.
Yeah, of course. Amazing. Amazingly. It's just... the whole tone of this really has changed for me all of a sudden, you know?
Thriller doesn't have that inspiration.
Because it kind of gives this song a different meaning when you add to it that he died in 2009, you know? It's like, I'm standing with a man in the mirror, I want to change your ways, change the person you can be, look at a person you can want to be, and you know, it's sad. It makes it sadder.
Pop anthem on it, like a Greatest Love of All, Whitney Houston, Saving All My Love for You, that kind of thing. And it's interesting that
that's got me, man. That's
talking
really
about how
brought
nice
down
it
the
would be is
mood.
to get an anthem that had a good feel to it, you know, it's like some sunshine on the world.
So he called a meeting with his West Coast songwriters. I think there were like 6 of us. He said he wanted something upbeat. He said he wanted something that felt good.
Whitney Houston's second solo album was storming the charts, and I think she provided a little bit of heat, and I think that the label was concerned about how to kind of appeal to this audience that had gravitated to Whitney Houston.
Went to Glenn Ballard's house, who was my writing partner at the time. I said, this is what Quincy wants. He said, oh, well, let's just see what we come up with. He stands up, goes over to the keyboards, turns on the keyboard, and starts playing. So I'm flipping through my lyric book while he's playing these, just getting sounds on the keyboard. Cut to 2 years before this meeting. I'm writing with John Beasley, jazz pianist, and his phone rings. And he picked the phone up instead of letting the machine pick it up. Yeah, what's happening? I'm not doing nothing. And I'm thinking, he's doing something. And I'm flipping through my book. No, he didn't just say he's not doing nothing. No, he didn't. So I'm flipping through this book and I hear him say, the man? What man? Oh, the man in the mirror. I wrote, man in the mirror. So 2 years later, I'm at Glenn's house and the phrase, man in the mirror, just popped out at me and I started writing these lyrics that I couldn't write them fast enough. I couldn't get it all out fast enough.
That's
and
fascinating.
In like 15 minutes, we had the first verse and the chorus for Man in the Mirror.
Wow.
I'm certain there will be a change.
So this is very interesting. So Michael didn't write this one. It was her. That's... I didn't know
starting
that.
with that man in the mirror. I mean, the lyrics evolved into
Wow.
what they are, but these are the humble beginnings. Glenn said, you go finish the lyrics and I'll finish the track and we'll demo the song on Friday. Friday night, we finished it after the Quest Publishing was closed.
Wow.
Very interesting. So I called Quincy at home He said, I'm having a meeting, you can't drop it off. He said, just take it to the office on Monday. I said, I can't wait till Monday. Let me just drop, Sid, I got, Quincy, all right, shit. And I go to his house. I give Quincy this really quickly. I give him this cassette. I said, just, all I ask is that you just call me as soon as you call. He said, all right, shit. 2-3 hours later, I get a call, and Quincy goes, Sid, this is the best song that I've heard in 10 years. And I'm like,
yeah.
Yes! Was one step too high for Michael. So Quincy wanted me to re-sing the demo in the new key. So I come in here and I'm singing the demo in the new key, and Michael is filming me.
Whenever you're ready, Miss Siedah.
Wow.
Gonna make a change for once in my life. Gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter core, this wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street, not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need?
Love that.
Hello, deeply sky. I got that image because I was walking down the street in New York, walking past this brownstone that had been torn down, and it was fenced.
She has a really good voice, like fair play. Now that I've actually got to know her a little bit, know her personality, she's quite bubbly. She's a bubbly girl. But you listen to her voice, like just then in that a cappella, she has a really beautiful voice. Beautiful.
Just a lot with broken glass. And this tree that someone had carved their initials into this tree. Somebody's broken heart and one man's soul. They follow each other on the wind, cause they got no place to go. That's why I want you to know.
It was really a great song from inception. But I think what
Still
Michael
got it now.
did is he took that song and he made it his own.
In popular music, there's often this idea that you are either the songwriter of your own material or you are the interpreter. The interesting thing about Michael Jackson is that he was both. You may not even know what he's talking about. Broken bottle top, all kinds of images are floating. But it's the conviction and the fervor with which he brings to the song that is really spectacular.
And he said, Andre, I got a song. If you were listening to this and wondered where a choir should be, he said, I would love to have a choir, and I've heard your music.
If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself. Didn't make that.
Chant, I said, right there, he said, you're exactly right.
And the choir sang,
Man in the mirror.
Yeah, I love that choir.
Andre Crouch's choir seriously threw down at the end and it featured all kinds of singers, including, I didn't even realize that the Winans were on there.
My brother Marvin asked him, exactly what do you want us to, how you want us to do it? He was whispering into Quincy Jones' ear, and Quincy would actually relay the message to us. And my brother Marvin said, Michael, can you talk?
There they are.
Mike broke out of the shell, sat down on the piano, started playing the part. I didn't even know Michael played piano.
Okay, here's my favorite lick right here. Woo! That's when I was hot back in the day.
That's when I was hot back in the day.
Quincy said, give me the monster claps. Those hand claps, that's what you're hearing.
The three of us would surround the mic. We'd nail it in real time. And then what we would do, we would speed this machine up maybe 15%. So the track's going by really fast. And we're still clapping the same thing. Then when you play back in regular speed, it's fat. So we have two sets of claps in real time, and the fat claps underneath, which are exactly in the same time. That's why if you listen to all those records we've done, some of the best clap sounds you'll ever hear.
once we cut the track,
That's very
Andre Crouch-
interesting the way that was done then. Revolutionary for its time period.
and his wonderful singers came in here, and Bruce Swedien had them all up on this stage. Bruce is such a genius, he would have them actually stand over on this side, then they would stand over on this side, then they would stand in the middle, because he wanted to get all this really incredible imaging.
That's why it sounded like 57,000
I mean, it really did.
people.
Yeah. It really does sound like a massive soundstage, doesn't it?
bring
Like
the
a
choir
lot of
in
people.
gently there. Yeah, baby.
When the session was over, everybody was going back to their cars, and I was listening to it with Quincy. I said, Quincy, you know what? We should have put change at the end. He said, yeah. They were getting in their cars on the parking lot, and I whistled, and they all come. I said, come in, we got to do something else. And they came in. I said, just say
change. Yeah, I'm glad that they...
And then Michael said, make that change.
Yeah, I love that. I reckon that it is so good that he said that, because it really does sort of bring it all to an end. Make that change, you know, the way he says
Where
that.
between Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, Bruce Swedien, the musicians, Greg Fillinganes, and all these guys, something took place in those sessions that technically sounds better than any records ever made to this day.
Michael Jackson meant that the unachievable was achievable, that you could be respected, you could be successful on a global level as a person of color.
There's no one that will take his place. The discipline imposed upon him, for good or for bad, from the time he was a baby, it's not even legal to replicate that in today's world.
Michael's the most professional.
Yeah, she's got a right point there. It's like, you shouldn't put your kid through that. I don't know if it's illegal, but it should be.
Performer I've ever worked with in my life.
He made it all look so simple. He made it all look so natural.
Yeah.
And he really worked so hard to do that. I remember watching him on stage perform and how he would just glide and make it seem like the music was just going through him. I mean, he would close his eyes and walk across the stage, and I'd sometimes wonder to myself, he could fall, he could trip, he doesn't know where he's going, but he never did.
Whether it's Beyonce or Lady Gaga or Chris Brown or Usher or Will.i.am or Justin Bieber or Justin Timberlake, there isn't a musician that doesn't quote Michael Jackson as being their idol.
I don't think there's anybody who comes close to having that type of work ethic.
They say that Willie Mays was one of the only 5 tool players in the history of baseball. A player that could run, field, hit for power, and throw. And in the music business, I'm not sure there was ever a 5-tool player other than Michael Jackson. Michael could write the songs, he could produce them, he could sing them, he could certainly perform and dance them, and he set fashion trends with his sense of style.
That's 6 tools you just named.
Well, I consider performing and dancing one and the same, but...
Hey, I'm with you all the way, baby.
All right.
6 tools, I'm with you. Willie Mays and Michael Jackson, that's great.
There it is.
He did everything.
I love that. Yes, he is the all-rounder. He could do everything. You know, who else can put that to themselves and say that they can do absolutely everything? You know, and still be one of the most iconic people in the world, you know.
Performed, he danced. He did the business part of it. He counted his royalties.
Sometimes it's hard to believe he's even gone. Just the amount of music that I hear, the number of times that I hear people telling me about children that are discovering Michael for the first time, and all these things. It's like this energy that just does not go away.
The divinity that guy was so tapped into. There was a reason that he was unique and he was different than any other artist that we've ever seen. And he had something that was not definable to me. Whenever he stepped out and sang, whenever he made that connection with people, the molecules changed in the room. You know, that was what he could do. You know, there are people that can go out and you can be wowed by their technique, but he changed the molecules.
No one can quite say what the creative process is because I have nothing to do with it almost, because it's created in space. It's God's work, not mine.
I love it when he says that. He always says that. He says that it doesn't come from me. It comes from a higher power. It comes from like, it's God's words. It's God's, will. Yeah, and or he says it's magic. He never actually says it's him. It's like it's not actually coming from him, and that's humble. It's humble. It's like it's coming from somewhere else. And wow, this is incredible, guys. This entire documentary is just. I've learned a lot.
I love
you. We love you too. A lot. And there's this Broadway star. That was amazing, guys. I love that. Every single minute of that was fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Yes. I think that to wrap this all up, right? I'm gonna say that I don't think I'm ever gonna forget this time period of his. That whole the bad era. It's stunning. There's a lot of good songs. Whether it's better than like Thriller, like I do like some of the songs from Thriller, and also Off the Wall was incredible. I think that they all have their merits, but there's a lot of good songs on this album. Like there was a lot of good songs, and of course you had that entire bloody concert that he did. That concert, that tour he done, the Bad Tour. Wow, some of the most amazing choreography, some of the most incredible singing chops, and beautiful. The entire thing is incredible, and I love this that they brought in the celebrities to love him. It was like amazing just to hear their opinions on everything as well. Very, very well put together documentary, in my opinion. This has been cut up, extremely cut up, right? But I suggest that you go and watch this on your own if you haven't already, because what I've done doesn't give this justice. I had to cut out all the songs and all that because of copyright, and all of them talking about 2009 when he died. That is so upsetting. But it just proves that he is loved and he was loved, and it isn't all doom and gloom. There was people who absolutely adored this man, thousands, millions across the world. They all loved him, and they always all. It's a sad thing. I don't even know where I was. I was not a fan of Michael Jackson. Growing up, I wouldn't listen to any of his songs. Nothing. If he was on TV, I'd just switch over the channel. This is me being honest. So in 2009, I didn't even acknowledge his death, and I really are starting to regret that a lot, because it was just another day for me, and it should have been quite a significant thing. So my question for you is, can you remember where you was in 2009? Can you remember how you felt when he died? Let me know in the comments below. That is the question for this. And just thank you for watching this with me.